Zheng He. Big man, big heart, big ships, big adventures.
I used to love my father's tales of the strange places he'd been.
And so we rode on our camels to these new countries beyond China.
He was a traveller, an explorer, and so was his father, and I grew up listening to their stories.
Seeing amazing sights and meeting men who were friends with snakes and men with strange hairdos, wearing jewels, with their different customs and different clothes. We went...
I am Zheng He, traveller, trader, explorer. This is me as a boy, with my father and grandfather, at home in Yunnan province in the south of China.
Oh yes, I remember. We were attacked by bearded bandits with swords.
I never knew if my father and grandfather were telling the truth or not. All I knew as a Chinese boy and a Muslim was that I wanted to travel to the other lands where my father and grandfather had had their adventures. Back then, 600 years ago, the country we call China was divided, and its many different rulers were often at war with each other. One day, I was 11, I think. Our village was attacked. The soldiers came and set fire to our houses, and everyone was scared. I didn't understand why. My father was killed in the fighting, and soldiers took me away screaming to the great Chinese city. I wasn't like the other boys who had been captured. They were dirty or stupid or lazy or weedy or nasty or just silly. And they were all so small. I was getting taller and taller, and my head was already full of ships and stars and adventure and war. And because I had been brought up a Muslim, I could speak Arabic and Chinese. I was pretty clever and very big.
That one looks interesting.
Which one?
That giant one, you idiot! I want that one.
And that was how I came to be chosen to serve at the court of the Yongle Emperor. The court of the Yongle Emperor! What a place! So much going on, so many different places where the Emperor's men were making great plans. The Emperor had decided to move the capital of China to Beijing, the whole capital, and to build a city within a city there, which was to be where the Emperor lived. Yongle Emperor wanted to find out about the world.
And 5,000 heavy carts. The architects will need to rebuild a city with many different designs. I need to know about animals, especially snakes and chimpanzees, and what's the hottest temperature a man can stand, and also how do you get water to flow uphill? Anybody know? No. And recipes, yes, recipes for everything, like ants and cake and things like that, and all the poems in the world. I need all those, write them down. And I want great engines that can throw fire and flames and make explosions. Our enemies in the north are very wild.
And the Emperor wanted to create great armies to defeat all his enemies. They needed the strongest fighters and the latest weapons. And because I had grown into a tall young man, I joined the army too.
Weekend obedience, I want full-on obedience. I'm making myself very clear here. Put down your pens. It's very important that we have many great ships capable of very long journeys to places in the world where
and
we
the
can...
Yongle Emperor wanted to find out about the world. So he ordered some ships to be built to explore the world. Not just 4 or 5, but 300.
Visit her neighbours whenever we like, you see. We need to go west and east, as well as south. And not the other one, that's horrid. And to visit lands where we have been, and other lands where we have not been.
Phew, he was a busy bloke. Yongle Emperor means always happy, and he was. And part of his biggest plan was his biggest man, Zheng He. Me. By this time, I had grown into a man, a very tall man, and although everyone looked up to the Emperor had to look up to me. Perhaps it was because I was so big, perhaps it was because I was brave in battle, perhaps because I was so clever. The Emperor called me to his palace And I approached His Great Majesty on his throne, and he said,
My loyal and good Zheng He, I want you to be Admiral of the Great Treasure Fleet and to sail out into the unknown seas and discover new lands, new riches, new friends, and new and exciting places that nobody has ever heard of yet, including me.
Junks, they were called.
All aboard!
Though they were full of treasure, not rubbish. And what ships they were! Longer than a football pitch, with 9 huge masts, and room for hundreds of men and tons of cargo. Below deck, the ship was divided with watertight compartments, just like a bamboo stick, for soldiers, sailors, cooks, doctors and medicine men. There was even a huge tank of water below deck to keep the fish fresh. And there were cows and horses and fresh vegetables grown on board in a vegetable garden. There was every comfort you could imagine for officers. And very importantly, there were storerooms for treasure to be given and traded in faraway lands. Silk, china, umbrellas, gold, silver, tools, clothing, all in great quantities. And this young man, he measures how fast we're going. He stands at the bow of the ship, throws in his piece of wood, and then he walks at a steady rate to the stern of the ship. And he keeps his walking speed steady by chanting over and over.
2 pink elephants, 3 pink elephants, 4 pink elephants, 5 pink elephants. Ooh, 5 pink elephants a length. Slow going today.
What did Zheng He do with his magnificent ships? Well, that's easy. He sailed off to make friends for China, to find new treasures, and of course, to show off. And he traveled to plenty of places. He made 7 journeys altogether, and he went to Indonesia here, and Sumatra, and Sri Lanka, and India here, and what we call Iran here. And his longest journeys took him all the way to Africa. And it wasn't just one ship he took, but hundreds and hundreds of ships. 28,000 men were in his biggest crew. If you came from a town in Sri Lanka, can you imagine what it must have been like when Zheng He decided to call? Like visitors from Mars, most likely. These enormous fleets of magnificent boats coming in peace to make friends and trade the treasure. What an excitement!
There was always great excitement and big celebrations when we sailed into town. I didn't come to conquer. I came to make friends and swap gifts. And, most importantly, to tell China's neighbors about our great emperor. Look at the reception I got here, in what you now call Vietnam. They wanted to give me this elephant as a present, but they didn't have enough wrapping paper. Remember my present room on the ship? Well, we wrap up some great gifts and offer them to the king. Like what? Some of the riches of China. Jewels, or gold, or herbs for medicine, or spices, or carpets. And the king loves it. No wonder China makes so many great friends. In return, he then offers us a whole lot of fabulous things, which we load onto our ship. All my visits are all like this. This is for you, King Tic-Tac.
Oh, thank you, Admiral Zheng He. It's lovely.
It's like a series of very pleasant tea parties. And I have drunk much tea with many friendly leaders. Indian Zamorin, African chiefs, Persian sultans, Thai kings. Oh, after you, Ambassador, maybe we should drink less tea at our meetings. And to show the Emperor the new friends of China, I invite some nice ambassadors from countries I have visited to come home with me. I give great presents on behalf of China, and I am very friendly. But it's not always like that, let me tell you. There is one place where you've got to show some muscle, and that place is the Straits of Malacca, which is on my way home. And I need to be well prepared.
The Straits of Malacca, one of the most important waterways on Earth. It's a great little shortcut between two oceans and saves you from going the long way around. Zheng He's ships are loaded with the most valuable treasures of the East. No wonder so many dangerous pirates loiter here, just as they go through this narrow stretch of water.
Behind you!
The only people I do not show the luxury of my ship to are pirates. This is the evil pirate Chen Zhu, famed around these parts as the baddest pirate of the lot. And he is coming back to China with me, where he will have his neck stretched for the Emperor's pleasure.
You haven't heard the last of me.
This is the other stretched neck I brought back from my travels in distant Africa. The Emperor loved it.
Marvelous.
This is because the giraffe resembled the magical Chinese beast, the Guilin. So the people were pleased too, because the Guilin means good luck and happiness. Some people thought the Emperor was spending too much money on crazy ideas, but everyone loved the Guilin.
And everyone, except maybe the pirates, loved Zheng He. He died here, on a journey to India aged 62, in the middle of the region he helped explore. So, when he died, there was great sadness, as the tall man's body was placed carefully in the sea. He made China famous and started friendships and trade in this huge area, half the world. As soon after, new rulers took over, and they didn't believe that China should send great explorers to other countries. So they stopped plans for more explorations, and Zheng He's maps, and eventually his ships, disappeared in the mists of time.
But nobody has forgotten Admiral Zheng He.